Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back.
So have you ever wondered what it would be like to start over, on a brand new planet?
Like a totally fresh start.
Yeah, like a total reset button for humanity.
It's kind of a captivating idea, right? A chance to escape all the baggage of our past.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All the problems and the conflicts, and just start fresh.
Exactly, a blank slate.
But what if that fresh start, what if it came with a whole set of challenges that you couldn't even imagine?
Yeah, like what if paradise turned out to be a little more toothy than you expected?
Okay, yeah, that's the kind of scenario that we're going to be diving into today.
Buckle up, because we're headed into a world that blends sci-fi adventure with some really cool lit RPG elements.
If you're into like holographic inventory systems, crafting systems, level ups,
Strategic combat, that kind of immersive stuff.
this one is definitely for you.
And if this sounds like something you'd enjoy, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into fascinating worlds.
Exactly. We're going to be exploring worlds that make you think.
Worlds that, stick with you.
So the world we're exploring today is from a book called Treasures of the Lost World by Adrian Jaeger.
Link down below in the description if you want to check it out.
So this story drops us right into the action with our main character, Michael, who arrives on this new planet.
A planet that at first glance seems like it's totally uninhabited.
Yeah, totally pristine, untouched wilderness.
And he's got his AI companion, Ava, with him.
Right, Ava?
Now, one of the first things that stood out to me was this whole concept of an extra-dimensional storage system that Michael has.
Like a magic backpack?
Basically, yeah, it's described as a kind of pocket dimension that he can access and store stuff in.
So like unlimited carrying capacity?
Pretty much. But here's the catch. When he arrives on this new planet, his storage is completely empty.
What? So you're telling me he can store infinite stuff, but he doesn't have anything to put in it?
Sounds like someone forgot to pack.
Right, like, it's a reset for humanity, but they forgot the supplies.
Well, it's kind of a cool starting point because it forces Michael to engage with this new world right from the get-go.
Yeah, makes sense. He can't just rely on pre-packed gear.
Exactly. He has to learn to use what's around him.
So what does he do first?
Well, he starts doing what any sensible survivor would do in that situation.
Gathers resources.
Yep, he gathers stones, sticks, plant fiber, and as he collects these items, they're instantly converted into these holographic representations within his storage space.
They're being scanned and digitized.
Exactly, and we see his inventory display update, like storage, fiber, 32 stick, 19 rock, 12.
I love how these LitRPG elements get woven into the story.
It's like seeing the game mechanics in action.
Yeah, it's really immersive.
And what's interesting is that despite this whole empty inventory situation, the initial vibe of the story is actually quite peaceful.
Yeah, you get this sense of wonder as Michael explores this pristine wilderness.
There's a sense of optimism, a sense of potential.
And Ava's right there with him, analyzing data, offering advice, kind of like a super intelligent guide.
A perfect partnership for this new frontier.
But of course, they have to get to work quickly.
Why is that?
Because they need shelter.
Ah, yes. The first rule of survival.
Shelter before nightfall.
Makes sense, especially when you're on an alien planet and you have no idea what might be lurking out there in the dark.
Right, so the sun starts to set, and Michael, he makes a decision about what to craft first. And it's an axe.
An axe. Okay, so he's prioritizing gathering more wood for the shelter?
Exactly. But here's where the crafting system gets really cool.
What do you mean?
So it's not just about, slicing an axe from a menu or something.
Right.
Michael has to visualize the axe in detail.
Like picture it in his mind.
Yeah, exactly. He has to think about the shape of the stone axe head, the texture of the wooden handle, the way it would feel balanced in his hand.
Interesting. So it's not just about materials, it's about focus and intent.
Exactly. And it's described as this blend of virtual reality training and meditation.
Like he's using mental energy or mana to shape the object into being.
Yeah, precisely.
Wow, so it's like a fusion of technology and willpower.
Definitely.
That's a really cool take on crafting.
Oh, and it gets even better.
How so?
So to access the tools he's crafted quickly, they've got this system called the hotbar.
Okay, I've heard of hotbars in video games.
It's the same concept here, except it's linked to muscle memory.
So instead of fumbling through menus, he can just use specific gestures to instantly equip the tool he needs.
Yep, exactly. Like, for example, to summon the pickaxe, he does this crossbody chop movement.
Like he's about to swing it.
Right, and it just appears in his hand.
That's so intuitive.
And it makes perfect sense for a survival situation. You don't want to be wasting time searching through menus when you're in danger.
Makes sense, your body becomes the interface.
Right. But all this focus on efficiency and preparedness, it kind of creates a full sense of security.
Oh, why is that?
Because they're not alone on this planet.
They're not... Okay, so what happens?
Well, things take a turn for the strange when they encounter this bizarre creature.
What kind of creature?
It's described as a penguin parrot.
A penguin parrot. Wait a minute, like a hybrid of the two.
Yeah, seriously, a penguin with parrot features, or maybe a parrot with penguin waddling.
That's weird and awesome.
I know, right? And Ava just falls in love with it, instantly wants to keep it as a pet.
Of course the AI wants a pet penguin parrot.
But Michael, he's a little more cautious. He's like, where would we even find food for this thing?
Good point. You can't just feed a penguin parrot regular birdseed.
Right.
This is a totally alien ecosystem. Who knows what it even eats?
Exactly. But that encounter, it's like a little foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing of what?
Of the fact that this world is full of surprises, and not all of them are going to be cute and cuddly.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
And that becomes very clear very quickly when they encounter the slimes.
Slime? Oh, like those gelatinous blobs?
Yeah, but not the friendly kind.
Oh, no.
These things are aggressive. They launch themselves at Michael and Ava with this distinctive sproing sound.
Okay, that sounds a little unsettling.
Yeah, it's a far cry from the peaceful exploration they were enjoying just moments before.
So much for the safe haven.
Right, and suddenly the whole idea of local predators takes on a whole new meaning.
They're not just theoretical anymore.
Not at all.
And it really highlights how those LitRPG mechanics, the inventory, the hotbar, the crafting, they're not just gameplay elements.
They're survival tools.
Exactly.
And as they continue to explore, they start to notice something really strange.
What's that?
There are no signs of any other humanoids anywhere.
No other people at all.
No. And Ava, with her access to all this data, she starts to develop a theory.
What does she think is going on?
She thinks that the monsters on this planet, they might have some kind of inherent advantage.
Like an evolutionary edge.
Yeah, and maybe that's why there are no other humans around.
It's like the monsters have already won.
Right, a pretty chilling thought.
Definitely makes you rethink the whole idea of starting fresh.
And speaking of starting fresh, we learn more about Ava's own unique needs in this new world.
Oh, like what?
So it turns out that she requires these things called upgrade cards.
Upgrade cards are those like power-ups or something?
Kind of, yeah. They enhance her abilities, but she also needs something else.
What's that?
Food for thought.
Food for thought. Oh, wait, what does it even mean for an AI?
It's not literal food.
Oh, okay, good, because that would be weird.
Right. It refers to rare materials that she needs to process in order to learn and grow.
Like fuel for her cognitive processes.
Exactly. It's as if she's developing a soul or something.
That's deep, especially for an AI.
Yeah, it makes her more than just a machine.
Definitely.
But despite all these challenges and the growing sense of danger, Michael, he never loses sight of the bigger picture.
Which is...
Establishing a human colony.
Oh, right. That was the whole point of this mission.
Yeah, and even though they're facing immediate threats, he knows that they need to lay the groundwork for a sustainable future.
A future for humanity on this new world.
Right. But the sun keeps setting, and that brings a whole new set of worries.
Why is nighttime so dangerous?
Because, as the story puts it, everyone knew monsters got rowdier after dark.
Okay. Yeah, that's not reassuring.
Not at all. So they have to work fast to create some kind of defensible base.
So what do?
Well, Michael focuses on gathering more resources, chopping down trees, building up their supplies, while Ava does what she does best, analyzing data.
Always running the numbers.
And she comes up with a plan for their defenses.
What does she suggest?
Auto turrets.
Auto turrets, like automated defenses.
Exactly. And these aren't your typical turrets.
Oh, how so?
They're designed to target anything that emits a high mana signature.
So anything with a strong magical or biological energy field?
Right. So basically, they're monster detectors and eliminators.
Sounds effective.
And the crafting requirements for the turrets, they're actually quite simple woodstone. And you're not going to believe this slime.
Slime, like the creatures they encountered earlier.
The very same, they've somehow managed to integrate this alien biology into their technology.
That's both cool and kind of gross.
Yeah, but hey, it works.
I guess when you're fighting slimes, you use slime to fight back.
Right, exactly.
So they've got the turrets for range defense, but what about close combat?
Well, Michael crafts himself some slimewood armor.
Slimewood armor. Okay, that sounds interesting.
It's wood that's been reinforced and bound together with slime.
So it's like a magical composite material.
Exactly. It provides enhanced protection against those nasty slime attacks.
Well, considering their previous encounter with the slimes, that seems like a wise investment.
Oh, absolutely.
And what I find really cool is that Michael can actually craft and build simultaneously thanks to the inventory system That's efficient.
Yeah. So while he's mentally focused on crafting the armor, he can still be physically moving materials around, placing blocks, laying down the foundation of their shelter.
It's like his mind and body are working independently.
It's really remarkable.
Makes you wonder what the limits of these LitRPG systems are.
Right. But all this preparation, it's just the calm before the storm.
The calm before the storm? What do you mean?
Night falls.
And
Ava's early warning system kicks in.
detecting incoming threats.
Oh yeah, she identifies multiple types of monsters heading their way.
What kind of monsters?
Regular zombies, incredibly fast-moving skulls trailing fire.
Flaming skulls. Okay, that's not good.
Yeah, and then there are these creepily strategic hands.
Hands, just hands.
Yep, disembodied hands. And they're actually climbing the trees.
What are they doing that for?
It seems like they're waiting for the slower zombies to catch up so they can launch a coordinated attack.
Oh, wow. That's clever and disturbing.
Right.
So what happens when the monsters get within range?
The auto turrets deploy firing bolts at those high mana signatures.
And do they take down all the threats?
Well, some of the monsters are able to evade the turrets. Like there's this one moment where a flaming skull does this crazy barrel roll to dodge a bolt.
Barrel roll like a fighter jet.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
So the turrets aren't foolproof.
Nope, and that's where Michael's Slimewood armor comes in handy.
He has to fight in close quarters.
Oh yeah, he's taking on zombies, dodging flaming skulls, fending off those creepy hands.
It sounds chaotic.
It is, but they managed to survive the night.
That's a relief. But are they safe now?
Well, no, not really.
What do you mean?
If that was just the initial wave,
The first night.
exactly, they realized that they're going to have to face even bigger challenges in the future.
So it's not a matter of if, but when.
Right. And this whole experience, it really drives home the point that survival in this world is an ongoing process.
It's not just about surviving one night, it's about adapting and evolving.
Exactly.
So what happens next?
Well, even though Ava is this super advanced AI, it turns out that she still needs to analyze the basic elements of this world,
Like what?
like the different types of ore, the composition of the soil, the properties of the local plants.
So even though she's got all this knowledge stored within her, she still needs to kind of ground that knowledge in this specific reality.
Right. It's like she's learning the language of this new world.
That's interesting. It makes her feel less like an all-knowing being and more like a partner in discovery.
Yeah, and one of the things they discover is tin ore.
Tin ore, so they can start making bronze.
Exactly. A big step up from stone tools.
For sure.
And we see that trend of integrating monster parts into their crafting continue.
So are they using slime to make bronze now?
Not exactly, but
Why?
the slime is still a key component in both the turrets and the armor.
Nothing goes to waste.
Nope.
Okay.
Everything has a purpose in this world, even the monsters.
I guess when you're fighting for survival, you learn to be resourceful.
Precisely. And speaking of resourcefulness, Michael decides to explore underground.
Underground, why?
He's hoping to find new materials.
Makes sense. Got to keep those crafting options open.
Right. And he crafts a torch from wood and plant fiber, old school explorer style.
Nice.
And as he descends deeper into the earth, he notices that the mineral content of the stone is changing.
Oh, interesting. So there might be different types of ore down there.
Exactly. And then he stumbles upon this massive cavern.
What's in the cavern?
He doesn't know at first it's pitch black, but he's prepared.
How so?
He activates the dark vision feature on his helmet.
Oh, very high tech.
Yeah, and then he sees it.
Sees.
A bat monster.
Oh, great. Giant bat in a dark cavern.
I know, but Michael's ready for this.
He is.
Remember that grappling hook he crafted earlier?
The one he was using for exploration?
Yeah, well, it turns out to be really useful for combat, too.
How so?
He uses it to swing around the cavern, dodging the bat's attacks and getting into position to strike.
Like Batman.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And all that training he received for dealing with creatures like basilisks and gorgons.
Those mythical creatures.
Yeah, that training, it actually comes in handy.
So it's not just theoretical knowledge, it's practical.
Exactly. And while he's down there fighting the bat monster, he makes an even more surprising discovery.
A discovery. What is it this time?
He finds someone else.
Someone else, like another human?
Yes, a woman named Vanessa, but she's been petrified.
Petrified, like turned to stone.
Yeah, by a gorgon.
Gorgon. Wow, they're really going all out with the mythical creatures in this book.
I know, right?
So how does Michael help her?
Well, it turns out there's a specific rune, a stylized eye symbol, etched onto Vanessa's pinky finger.
And that's the key to reversing the petrification.
Yeah, Michael touches the rune with his hand, and Vanessa is instantly freed.
Just like that.
Yep. And we learn that there's this universal translator magic in place for all colonists.
Oh, so they can understand each other right away, even though they're from different worlds?
Exactly. Super convenient.
It would be.
And she describes the Gorgon in detail.
What does she say?
She says it has serpentine feature scales that shimmer like ice and hair made of writhing blue snakes.
Okay, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, no
So
kidding.
now they have to deal with a Gorgon on top of everything else.
Yeah, it's like the challenges just keep escalating.
And they've got another person to protect now.
Right.
It's not just Michael and Ava anymore.
So they continue their exploration, eventually coming across a petrified manor.
Petrified, like everything inside is turned to stone.
Yep, and it's full of these eerie magic mirrors and eternally burning torches.
It sounds like something out of a fairy tale.
It's definitely unsettling.
And probably a good reminder of the Gorgon's power.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So do they encounter the Gorgon in the manor?
Well, not inside, but they do confront her shortly after.
And how does that go?
Well, it's a pretty intense fight.
I bet.
The Gorgon makes this grand entrance with her emerald scales shimmering menacingly, and Vanessa, she's like, run.
Good advice.
But Michael, he's determined to defeat this creature.
So what does he do?
He uses his grappling hook to swing around, dodging the Gorgon's attacks. And he's also got a new weapon.
Oh, what's that?
It's called the Bone Blade.
Bone blade. That sounds gnarly.
It's a bronze sword, enhanced with sharp bone shards.
Okay, yeah, that would do some damage.
Yeah, and at one point during the fight, the Gorgon, she looks at Michael and she's like, "You're different. What are you?"
Like she senses something unusual about him.
Yeah. And Michael, he just replies, "I'm the one who's going to stop you."
Nice. Very heroic.
And he does eventually defeat the Gorgon.
So they're safe now.
Well, safer. At least the
They-
Gorgon is no longer a threat.
Good, but what about all the other monsters?
They're still out there, but the defeat of the Gorgon, it's a turning point.
A victory that gives them hope.
Exactly.
So what happens to the Gorgon's body after the fight?
It vanishes into Michael's inventory.
Just like that.
Yep, Vanessa. She's totally shocked by this.
Yeah, I can imagine seeing a huge monster just disappear into thin air.
It would be pretty mind-blowing.
Definitely.
But Michael, he's just like, "Oh yeah, this is normal for me."
He's so used to the LitRPG life.
Right. And with the Gorgon out of the way, they can finally focus on building up their colony in earnest.
So what do they start working on?
Well, they start by expanding their mining operations.
Finding more resources.
Yep, they discover iron and copper ore.
Oh, nice. So they can make even better tools and weapons.
Right, and they build furnaces to smelt the ore.
Getting serious about industry now.
Yeah, and Ava, she starts talking about automation.
Like using machines to do some of the work.
Exactly. Conveyor belts, mechanical arms, things like that.
It's like they're starting an industrial revolution on this alien planet.
It's pretty amazing.
Mhm.
And Ava, she also mentions that she needs those upgrade cards and rare materials more than ever.
For her food for thought?
Yeah, it's like she's constantly learning and evolving.
Trying to keep up with all the changes.
Exactly.
So with all this progress, it sounds like things are finally starting to look up for them.
They are. They've got a secure base, a growing stockpile of resources, new allies, and Ava is constantly leveling up.
They've come a long way from that initial landing with an empty inventory.
They have. But of course, the story doesn't end there.
It doesn't.
Nope, because remember those monsters that were getting rowdier after dark?
Oh, yeah, those guys.
Well, they're back, and this time they're even bigger and badder.
Like supersized monsters.
Exactly. And they seem to be controlled by this powerful entity called the Stitch Tyrant.
The Stitch Tyrant, that sounds ominous.
Oh, it is.
So how do they deal with this new threat?
Well, they know they can't just hunker down on their base and wait it out.
They have to be proactive.
Right. So they come up with a plan.
What's the plan?
They decide to lure the Stitch Tyrant into a custom-built arena.
And fight it head on.
Yep. It's a risky move, but they figure it's their best chance of defeating this thing once and for all.
So they're going for the boss battle.
Pretty much. And to make sure the Stitch Tyrant shows up, they need something special.
Something special? What is it?
Ava, she creates a boss summoning item.
Like a beacon that will draw the tyrant to their location.
Exactly. And they prepare the arena, setting traps, reinforcing their defenses, making sure they're as ready as they can be.
This is it, the final showdown.
And it's epic.
Tell me about it.
So the Stitch Tyrant arrives, and it's this massive, grotesque creature made up of stitched-together body parts.
Sounds delightful.
It's pretty horrifying, actually. But Michael, he's not intimidated.
He's ready.
Oh, yeah. He's got his upgraded armor,
Yeah.
his bone blade, and a new piece of equipment,
What's that?
a Noctane grappling belt.
What does that do?
It gives him enhanced mobility even in the dark.
So he can move like a shadow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he needs all the agility he can get because the Stitch Tyrant is a tough opponent.
How does the fight end?
Well, it's a long, hard battle. But in the end, Michael defeats the stitched tyrant.
They did it.
Yep, they actually managed to defeat this seemingly unstoppable force.
That's amazing.
And with the tyrant gone, the land is finally free from its influence.
So they won. They actually achieved their goal.
We did. It wasn't easy,
Huh?
but they managed to establish a foothold on this new world.
And now what?
Now they can finally start building the future. They envisioned a future for humanity
Oh.
on this alien planet.
So what happens next?
Well, a colony is formally established, and Michael, he becomes the initial governor.
He's the leader.
Yep, and Vanessa's people. They're integrated into this new society.
They're all working together.
Exactly. And there are assurances that their rights and well-being will be protected.
That's important, especially after everything they've been through.
Absolutely. And the story ends on a note of hope and optimism.
A sense that they can overcome any challenge together.
Yeah, they've faced incredible odds, but they've come out stronger.
And who knows what adventures await them in the future.
So that was our deep dive into Treasures of the Lost World. What did you think?
You know what really stood out to me was that moment when they encountered the stitched tyrant for the first time.
Oh yeah, that was pretty intense.
Like you could feel the tension building.
Yeah, and the way they came up with that plan to lower it into the arena,
So clever.
and then the actual battle itself, it was just so well written.
You could practically see it happening.
Yeah, it was epic.
Definitely one of those moments that sticks with you.
What about you? Was there a particular part of the story that you really enjoyed?
You know, I think I really loved the whole concept of Ava's food for thought.
Oh yeah, the idea that an AI needs to process rare materials to learn and grow.
It's such a cool concept, and it makes Ava feel so much more relatable.
Yeah, she's not just a machine.
Yeah,
She's a character with her own unique needs and motivations.
definitely. And it makes you wonder about the nature of consciousness and intelligence.
Big question.
It's what makes sci-fi so interesting. So we want to hear from you now. What was your favorite aha moment or the most surprising fact that you took away from our deep dive today?
Let us know in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this exploration into the world of Treasures of the Lost World,
Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into fascinating fictional universes.
we've got plenty more worlds to explore together.
Thanks so much for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.